Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Art of Creativity. My name is Luca Emmanuel. I am your host, your cheerleader, and very, very, very occasional bad joke teller. Here on the podcast, we of course celebrate diversity, creativity, and a whole lot of heart. And this is going to be a groundbreaking episode today because I've never done anything like this, and it is something I've wanted to do for a very long time now. We have got one of the most talented and special guests that I think we'll ever get, and it's on season 1 of Chasing the Art of Creativity, David Grant. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming on today. How are you?
Thank you for having me here.
I'm so privileged to have you on. So for context, everyone, David Grant is someone who is very, very well versed when it comes to acting and helping out with the deaf community, because David is deaf himself and he's kindly come on today to share his experiences and his journey with us. So I'm so appreciative that you've come on, taken the time today, coming from Melbourne to come and speak to me today. I am so grateful. So thank you so much. How have you been?
Thank you for having me here. I really am grateful as well to be here on your podcast. I think it's so important, as you were saying about, access, creativity, accessibility. I've grown up all my life within theatre and doing acting, social media, all that kind of stuff. Also within education, within the deaf community. A lot of AUSLAN is role-playing as well, and that's one of my favourite skills. It mixes with AUSLAN as well as acting, and I believe all people should learn AUSLAN. AUSLAN is Australian Sign Language. I also believe that other people overseas should learn their country's sign languages as well. I think sign is so important for communication, and it's such a beautiful language. We find it so easy to communicate. There's not enough interpreters in the world, so if everyone could sign, the communication in life would be so much easier. So it's always my advocacy role to try and encourage everyone to learn sign language, to learn AUSLAN as much as possible. I want people to see sign out there, whether it's TV or film or social media, that they want to get involved, they want to learn, they don't feel uncomfortable talking to us. I always say, what if an interpreter is late? How do we communicate without them? We can. Communication is so vital, and AUSLAN is such a beautiful language that I believe that everyone should have a chance to learn it.
That was so incredibly said, David. Thank you so much for sharing that insight, because I think you are so incredibly right when you say that the world would be such an easier. It would be so much easier for the majority of people if people learned AUSLAN. It should be I actually believe it should be something that is taught in schools. I think it should be a mandatory learning process, because the amount of people that are born with hearing issues or they are deaf is growing exponentially. And I think it's something that we need to accommodate now. We need to be inclusive. So it is incredible what you are doing and how you're paving the path for future generations to come up. So this is going to be an incredible episode. And what I want you to talk about now is I want you to take me back. I want to hear your journey. I want to know how it all started for you growing up, having these setbacks or, having to do things a different way, and how you managed to work around those. And just tell me about yourself growing up to now. I want to hear all about it.
From start to finish, let's go. Okay.
Let's go.
Oof, warming up those hands like people warm up their vocal cords. So I was born in a deaf family. My parents are actually deaf. My brother and my sister, they're hearing, and they're called coders, which is child of a deaf adult. I was actually born hearing. And 6.5 months old, I think just naturally I lost my hearing. We believe it's genetics. I believe that it was genetics. We don't know 100% how, but I feel like because my family are deaf, it was something genetically. So I grew up from that point on, loving dance, loving theatre, loving attention. I loved High Five. Remember the children's show as a kid? I was obsessed.
Loved it. Yes.
It was my favorite. So, I would watch it as a kid. I'm 33 now. So every night before I go to bed, I actually still watch High Five, still, as a 33-year-old. It's my, comfort show So, yeah, I loved it from a young age, and still I'm a kid inside.
Me too. Me too. So that's exactly what it is. I feel like we're all kids inside, and we're all people that just love these comfort stuff. Like I interviewed Lara Jean Marshall the other day. She was my idol on the Saddle Club. If you knew the Saddle Club, and interviewing her, it was such a surreal experience, and it took me back. So completely understand. Honestly, high five and the wiggles and all that stuff. Insane. It was one of the best times to be alive as a child. So I completely agree with you there on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad, because sometimes I say it to people and they're like, are you making a joke? Like, are you being serious? You're an adult. Why are you still watching like a kid's show? And it's like, no, I'm still a child at heart, and I'm still connected with my inner child. I'm not an adult. I'm a kid. I have a big heart. I scream in excitement when I see new kid shows that are fun and like interesting to watch. So I'm proud to say I'm a kid at heart. So yeah, I watched High Five, and that's when I started really like loving and singing and dancing and acting on stages. And so I live in a country town 2 hours away from Melbourne. I went to a deaf school, and I felt like something inside was almost missing. I went to a school far away from home. Yeah, I felt like the people around me in my school had a lot more confidence and go-get attitude. I had a lot more of a go-getter attitude, and I would see other people around me not. And I watched the show Full House once.
Oh, I love that show.
And I saw that family connection where they're all at dinner together. And I was like, I love that feeling, and I want to be on TV and acting like that. I remember I'd go home from school on Friday night because we were bored, and I would say, Mum, Dad, I want to be on TV. And they were like, TV? Like, as deaf parents looking at a deaf child, they were like, no, TV is crazy. And I was like, no, I want to be on TV. That's it. I was so adamant about it. I was like, that's what I want. I was like, find me something. My parents were so, lost. I lived in the country, very small community, very small town. It was almost like, where would we even start? They found a little children's agent for me. And then I started to get more into theatre and within like the hearing community, different theatre, different shows and that kind of stuff. And I would still unfortunately have barriers as a deaf person, as a young deaf person. My country town, unfortunately, was very closed-minded still about deaf people. So therefore, when I was joining these theatre companies, it was quite a struggle. I mean, I was determined to get through everything. And I found myself more in high school trying to get more confident and more almost aggressive to learn more acting, learn my skills, to get involved with things.
That's incredible. Wow.
So then as a teenager,
Yeah.
I actually applied to go on the show Neighbours, which we all know is from Victoria.
Yes.
I wasn't successful. I didn't get the role. I was desperate. Unfortunately, didn't get the role. And then I think about a year later, they contacted me and they're like, we actually have a deaf character. They're only temporary in like a few minutes of the show. And I was like, doesn't matter if it's a few minutes. Do they use AUSLAN? And they go, this deaf character does. And I was like, oh my gosh, the idea of AUSLAN on Neighbours, I was like, I had to take over it. I have to do this role. It has to be me.
Wow.
So I got the role. I was so excited. Having AUSLAN on Neighbours was groundbreaking. I had an interpreter with me on the show to show the deaf experience. A fantastic experience. Wow. There was a point in time where I wanted to quit acting. I was thinking about like different pathways of my life. And then the show, I don't know if anyone knows Chris Lilly's show, Angry Boys.
Yes.
They contacted me.
I do. Angry Boys was actually one of my favourite shows in high school with the two brothers, and one of them is deaf, and the obstacles that they overcome together. That was honestly that was one of my favourite shows. Chris Lilly was actually someone that inspired me to grow up and to do, start my own sort of mockumentary type projects. So I'm so glad that you found inspiration from the character of Nathan in Angry Boys. And I think what it did was also it broke down that stigma and the barrier tied into people that are hard of hearing or people that have hearing problems. And even doing it in such a comical way where they create an iconic character must have been so enlightening for you.
It was such a good experience. On set was very interesting. Everyone was lovely and sweet to me. Chris Lilly was so easy to work with. He's just so adaptable, beautiful man. So great working with him. He's gentle. He's quite a quiet person, but he was quite lovely throughout it. I finished Angry Boys, and then that was when I was like, all right, that was my last venture. I'm done with acting. I just didn't feel passionate enough anymore. At the time, I was 18, so I was done with high school, done with acting. I worked various jobs throughout it. I was a cleaner. I would teach AUSLAN. Oh, God, so many different jobs after I turned 18. But I feel like there was still something missing. You know when you're feeling something's missing and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't work it out. So I was just going through life, doing these jobs, working. And I remember in 2020, right before COVID, before it all hit, yes. I realized it was acting. Unfortunately, I'd quit it. But the one missing piece of my puzzle, unfortunately, I found it. It was acting.
Unbelievable.
And I realized I don't know why I quit for so long, almost 12 years. I was going, I want to quit, but then at the same time, what's missing? And I realized it was acting. So
what I will say is I think so many people during the pandemic as well had this idea or notion that they wanted to sort of improve themselves or better themselves, or they wanted to do something a little out of the ordinary, or they wanted to chase a dream that they hadn't really thought about. It happened for me. Like I kind of regressed when the pandemic hit. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I really wanted to get back into acting and podcasting, social media and things like that. And that is essentially where I started today. So it's funny how both of our journeys sort of, apexed at a very interesting time in history. So it is incredible what you have managed to accomplish and what your goals are for the future to pave the way for the deaf community and for the deaf acting community as well, and for AUSLAN as well. So that is incredible. Now, I want to talk about the little duo that you've got going on, the David and Fallon. Tell me a bit more about that. Tell our viewers about that.
So before we started David and Fallon, I've set up AUSLAN with David on social media, and it's basically to teach AUSLAN online. During COVID, I was going to just throw it out. Just to be honest, I was going to set it up through COVID, obviously when no one could leave the house, Melbourne lockdowns. So I thought once everyone's out in the freedom, I'll get rid of it. But I think the following grew so fast through COVID, and people started recognizing, liking the videos and learning the signs. And I was just, sign of the day. I'd post every day, different signs. Followers were coming through. People were enjoying it. And then I would get booked for jobs because of it. And I was kind of realizing, this is bigger than I thought it was. This is actually a business. Originally I was like, this is just for fun, but actually almost became a business. And the flow, I just realized actually during it, I loved it. Schools were booking me to come and teach AUSLAN, and children were enjoying learning it. I was finding, because I'm a kid at heart, I was enjoying encouraging the next generation to learn AUSLAN and seeing children enjoy it. And then, I kind of expanded my business and thought, where else can I go? I've got AUSLAN with David. I've got a children's part that's a bit more specific. I've got a more specific way of going about performance and acting. And I thought, okay, now the next step is to bring on a second person for a duo. So I brought Fallon on. We work together so beautifully. I can't even explain how smooth it is with us together. It's so easy. We love it together. At the moment, it is on hold. She has holidays and personal life and all that kind of stuff, but we will be back soon. And when we are back, we will hit the ground running, and we're so excited for when that happens.
I can't wait for that. It sounds so fun. It sounds like you two have developed this this really special connection, and that's obviously shared through the communities that you sort of provide to. So that is incredible. Is in the future, are you ever thinking about your own sort of TV show or your own like production that revolves around this sort of thing?
At the moment, we're actually in the process of creating a YouTube channel that really will focus just YouTube at the moment. But of course, our dream would be on ABC TV. That would be a goal. Education of AUSLAN can be fun, can be interesting, can be performative, and on the TV for children to access at home, I think it doesn't matter. Even if it's a kid's show, kids, adults will love it because AUSLAN is such a beautiful language, as I said, that it will, I think, impact a lot of people if it was possible.
Couldn't agree more. And I think, also the ABC, the ties with Chris Lilly and all that, like going back and working around the same sort of productions would feel so nostalgic, and it's really good to get a bit of perspective in the industry and production. So I'm going to ask you a few questions here, actually, and this is through sort of your advocacy and through the entertainment world. How do you balance the entertainment and education when creating content for like children and stuff like that?
That is a fantastic question. At the start, it was quite complex for me because obviously I was starting fresh. It was a new venture. I was kind of figuring out how will it work. I found that I had a lot of hats, obviously, making this content. So sometimes I would forget one of my hats, and I'd forget something I had to do, and then I would get a bit confused and I'd lose my way. So I started making schedules to really kind of set me up for success, what I would do when and what I needed to do. And I found that really helped me make content much more smoother. Obviously, you still forget things because you're doing a lot and it can be overwhelming when you're trying to film everything at once. Like schedules do help, of course, but I'm one person. So yeah, I found scheduling was the best way to organize myself.
It actually really is. Like if you look behind me over there, you can see my my intense schedule of all the guests that I've got coming on. So it's really hard to balance the work and the to balance the work and I guess the casual social life. It's really difficult, but just the idea that this is the schedule that you work with, and these are the things you also sacrifice when becoming an entertainer or becoming someone that is quite well known on social media. These are the life choices that you make, and you do it out of the sheer love for the industry. You do it because it brings you passion, it brings you purpose. So I think you know exactly how to sort of balance the entertainment and the education aspect, because even though it is two separate things, they work synonymously with each other. They work incredibly well. They are interconnected. So there's also, did want to ask a question. What are some misconceptions about the AUSLAN or the deaf community that you wish more people understood?
You mean people in the public who see it and they assume wrong about us? Do you mean like...
People who wouldn't really, sort of, how you said you lived in a very closed-minded community, they didn't really understand it that much. Like, what are those, are there any issues tied into that you would say would be misconceptions about the community, or they wouldn't completely understand?
That is such a hard question to answer.
We throw some hard questions here on the podcast. So, look, it's a difficult question to ask, but I'll rephrase it. I would say, what is the impact that you're hoping to? What is your future impact? What are you trying to establish with this community that a lot of people don't already know? What is some positive change that you're making?
Oh, that one I can answer. Like I said before, sign language, AUSLAN or any other country's sign language should be taught within schools. As you said, it should be mandatory. I absolutely agree. So basically, in the city, whether it's Melbourne or Sydney or just any major city that you see around most I find know about sign language. So they'll look at a deaf person sign and they go, oh, okay, sign language, whatever. And they'll go about their days. I find that some rural towns, some country towns, it's improving now, but back when I was growing up, would see us and almost be scared of us. They would see us signing and they would be like, this is not normal. What's this? Oh, I don't know what to do with this. They're using their hands to talk to each other. What is going on? And it's almost like this scaredness about us. It's just because they're not aware. They're not aware of who a deaf person is. They don't understand what that entails. They don't understand sign language. We use our hands to communicate. That's really it.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot growing up. I feel like it's improving a lot more now because we can find everything online. We see a lot of stuff and that is proving, which is good. So it's not as like being gawked at.
It is true. Absolutely. Like the amount of the people that I see in modern workplaces now that do use sort of traditional sign language or they use AUSLAN is increasing really steadily now. And I think, once again, if we put more of that stuff onto social media, onto platforms that people can see, for people that might not understand it, it really does help people understand how it works and to be a little more inclusive and understanding, because there are some people who really wouldn't really get it and they would think, because they're very close-minded and they're very much like, I want to talk my own way. I want you to speak my language or communicate with me my way, when you should really be thinking about other people. It's always about perspective. Some people don't have it the way you do and you need to accommodate because they physically cannot. So that is really incredible. It's a really great answer. Going back to the whole, acting from when you were a kid.
I do have, it happens quite a lot. Some people don't want to learn. They feel so adamant against it being too hard for them. And look, maybe AUSLAN is hard, but it's about practice, just like with anything. You find your pathways in order to learn it. It doesn't have to always be in a formal education facility. Maybe it's going into the community. And it's also remembering that just like everyone, deaf people are diverse. They grew up different. They have different families. They have different educations. I mean, for me, I actually have very old-fashioned signs because my family are deaf and they were older generation and therefore they used older signs, which meant that I actually, growing up into the community, had to learn the newer signs of AUSLAN.
Wow.
So even though I had access to the language from the start, I would adapt.
So if you're talking to someone that is quite young and they're learning they have a more modern approach to AUSLAN, do you find there's difficulty in communication?
Now I don't. Now I find it quite beautiful. And now I teach AUSLAN. So we learn from each other. So when I meet other people, I now know how to adapt to their communication needs, to their language. So yeah, it's practice makes perfect. I do learn a lot of new signs, and sometimes my head goes like, it feels like a computer filing away all the AUSLAN signs. No, not really. But I sometimes catch new signs when I'm out in the community, and all I do is, put it in the back of my mind to remember them. I feel quite fortunate to learn so many signs and be able to adapt to some people. Look, some people as well who are deaf, they're old school, they want to use their signs, they don't want to change or adapt for anyone else they speak to, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to force anyone to change, but for me, I feel privileged that I can learn new signs, be involved in performance with all these signs that I've banked up, to teach people with all these signs, so I feel very blessed that I can adapt.
That's incredible. Such an incredible answer. And going back to sort of acting, now we're from when you were younger to now, has your perspective on acting changed from when you were younger? Like, is it a completely different process for you? Or do you still, because you grew up with that passion, the fundamentals of it?
Great question. I love those type of questions. Growing up, before my generation as well, there were deaf people on TV and film. Country Practice had deaf people on it. The show GP had it. All Saints also had deaf people acting on it. Oh my God, I'm trying to think. There's so many deaf actors long before I was around. There was deaf characters. They used sign language. We saw it on TV. Then I feel it started to almost fizzle out and we saw less and less deaf people on TV. I feel like there was more barriers coming up. But then now I feel like it's changed a lot, and I feel like for the positive, I feel like it's getting better. I think there's more deaf representation out there. Like, for example, the queer community, you know, we see a lot more queer people. We see a lot more disabilities and deaf people. The representation out there is honest and real, and it's a lot more popular. So now people are starting to acknowledge different minorities, different communities. And I feel like as much as it fizzled out for a while, the acting community have really opened up again to get more diverse actors, characters, stories within their shows.
That's amazing.
You know, I write my own creative stories and short films with deaf representation because I want to see it. I want to see it out there. Look at me, for example. I'm a deaf actor. So I look back at when I was young from now. It has changed a lot, and it is changing for the better.
That's incredible. Wow. Honestly, that is so well put. That is incredible. And because there is one thing that we are starting to get better with this as a society, within media and film and TV, we are starting to become a lot more inclusive. You know, we're getting transgender people to play transgender roles as they should. More queer representation, more gay, lesbian representation, all that stuff. And people with disabilities as well. You know, people that are in wheelchairs, or people that have hearing issues, or people that have sight issues, or people that have like cerebral palsy or Down syndrome like that. There is so much more.
We see everything nowadays on film and media. I agree.
It's incredible. I really would like to sort of delve into that a little bit more with you. And I think one thing before we end this segment and go into the Would You Rathers, which is coming right up, it's Would You Rathers is a very fun little segment of this podcast. I hope you're keen for that one. But now that you're back to writing scripts and working on movie productions and stuff like that, can you share any upcoming roles, or are these sort of just confidential?
But
I'm definitely crazy. I'm just going to let you know that right now. I basically work one project after the other, after the other, after the other. I feel like I'm never stopping. I think I'm too excited. I start a project and then I have this idea for another project and then I start that at the same time. And I kind of overlap myself and I get too excited. I probably dip my toe into too many projects at the same time. So right now, I'm really focused on a short film. It's my project at the moment. I think I emailed recently, all done. That is finished. That's one I can tick off my box.
Brilliant.
And then I'm making 2 big films, feature films. I'm still in discussions with directors and, you know, processing and all that kind of stuff to plan for the future. That's in the works. So basically, because that's still in the process, I'm focusing on the short film. Mm-hmm. I feel like the short film will be the start of, you know, the incline of the busyness in the future.
Wow. Looks like you got a lot to look forward to, and you've got so much on your plate and so many goals to achieve this year. So, David, so happy for you. Very good way to end the first segment here. That's what we do. We talk about, you know, what we're looking forward to doing and what it's the passion of the industry. So that was an incredible first segment, David. Thank you so much. And also thank you to Marnie here, who is our lovely interpreter for the day. She's come along and she has just been fantastic. So it would not be fair. It wouldn't be a podcast without mentioning how incredible she has been as well. So thank you all for listening to that first segment. We will be right back with Would You Rather. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to Chasing the Art of Creativity with the effervescent, the amazing David Grant, paving the way for the deaf and the AUSLAN community. Now, we are going to play Would You Rather. Now, have you played Would You Rather much before?
No, I haven't. I'm really excited to. I'm really excited to see what you're going to ask me.
Okay, well, I've got 5 really, they're really sort of debatable. These ones, they're very 50-50, half and half. So let's see how you go with this one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fantastic. Now, would you rather have to live stream your entire life 24/7 or only be able to communicate through tweets and emojis?
Oh, God. Okay. I'd live stream my entire life 24/7.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I would too.
I'd have to pick that one. Yeah,
Because,
definitely.
well, because your life's so interesting, it would be incredible. 24/7. Can you imagine, being there all the time, seeing what you do would be insane. It's a good answer.
That's why I picked it.
Okay, are you ready for the third?
Ready?
Would you rather be followed by a dramatic storm cloud wherever you go, or have every bird you see try to land on your head? Do you like birds?
Is it going to hurt my head if it's trying to land?
No.
The
No.
cloud. I'd pick the cloud then, just in case.
Cloud?
I don't want to get
Yeah.
hurt by I feel like birds already follow me anywhere I go.
Do you want to know a funny story, David? Do you know a funny story? So the other day, I go out up the road and I feed the little cockatoos. I've got a cockatoo picture behind me. Love them. One of my favorite animals. And I was feeding this group of about 30 or 40 of them. And a few of them were getting so desperate for food that they actually jumped on my head. So one of them actually flew on top of my head with his claws, digging into my head. And it hurts a little bit, but it's not the most uncomfortable thing. And I think it's adorable. I think it's really cute. So, but yeah, once again, it's every bird you see. There could be so many. So, yeah, I think the storm cloud's the right answer here. I feel like you're right.
Yep, that's why I did it.
You're a pro. You're professional at this. Ooh, okay.
Patting myself on the back.
Would you rather have to perform a dramatic monologue every time you order food or dance every time you enter a room?
Dancing. Yep. If I had to
Yeah.
dance, that's not even a question. I'd pick dancing into a room. So that way, I feel like my legs can...
Communicate. Yes. Great answer.
I'd absolutely pick dancing. I feel like if I had to do a dramatic monologue every time I ordered food, I just don't think it fits. No, I'd be exhausted. No.
You're right. Absolutely. I think...
No, but wait, I love food.
Yes.
No, I still choose dancing.
You're like, oh, what do I go for? What do I go for? It's tough, that one. That's a really, really 50-50. The last, would you rather? Would you rather be stuck inside a video game of your choice forever or have to play the worst reviewed game of all time once a day for a year?
Stuck in the video game.
Yes, I love that. I love video games, and there are some games that I would want to. I'd live there. I'd live in the Mario universe. Do you know Mario? Yeah, big fan.
That's a good choice. Yeah, that was a favourite of mine when I was growing up with Mario. And what's the monkey one?
Donkey Kong?
That one.
That's it. I love Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I
So
grew up with
cool.
both those. Yep, love them.
There's some good. There's some really good answers from you, David. Honestly, I make these with the idea that there's some semblance of people are really going to struggle to figure out which one they actually would, but you know exactly what you're picking. You're confident with that, and that's what we like.
I just feel like, look, some questions were complex, and I was going, oh, God, should I go for that reason, or should I go for the second option? And then I almost feel guilty picking one of them over the other. I'm like, sorry, I got to pick the other one.
It's like that, isn't it? Because in your mind, you're thinking, you think about it after you said it, and you go, oh, I didn't think of that. It's something I didn't think of. So that's why would you rathers are tough.
It was fun, but tough.
Yeah, fun but tough. You know what else is going to be fun and tough? This is Guess Who Celebrity Audition. Are you ready?
Oh, God. Okay, bring it on. I'll try my best.
You get 20 questions, around 20 questions to figure out who this celebrity is. Now, it can be past or present, alive or dead. That's where you ask the question. So essentially, every time you ask a question, I'll give you a yes or no answer. So you can be like, is it a musician or is it an actor or a politician? I'll say yes or no, and you just take as much time as you need and go from there. So are we ready?
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay, what is your first question?
Are you a man?
Yes.
Are you from America?
I'm not from America, but I've been to America a lot.
Were you born in Australia?
No.
A famous actor?
No.
Politician? Are you a famous politician?
No.
Do you work in retail?
No, I don't work in retail.
Are you an author?
Not an author. I have a book, but no, not an author.
Has this person ever been the president?
No.
Is this person deaf or hearing? Wait, is this you gotta ask one. Is this person deaf?
Person is not deaf.
So this person's hearing. Are you a singer?
Yes. I'll also give a hint here. I know you might not have been able to hear the music, but you would know the person. They're an LGBTQ icon.
Man. Harry Styles.
No, but good guess. Good guess. They're a bit older. They're older than Harry Styles.
Elton John.
Yes! Elton John. There you go. Well done. You got that in. I think that was like 12 questions. Look at you go.
There you go.
Amazing. Well, you obviously. I always say this. You're always going to come away with a prize today. So, are you ready? You ready for your prize?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. Okay, if you just want to reach over and grab the selfie stick and the juggling balls there. Thank you very much. Now, David, I always say on the podcast, all the gifts have a semblance of meaning, and I guess I'd say meaning to them. They all sort of have metaphors in their own way. Now, you like to juggle a lot of things emotionally. You like to juggle all these little projects. So I'd like to give you...
I am a juggler. Yes, you're right.
The juggling balls here. That's your first gift. The second is because I know you like sharing memories with other people and you like creating memories. I thought I'd give you this selfie stick, which you can use in your own way. So enjoy them.
Thank you so much. Actually, I was looking for a selfie stick to buy. So I've been too busy juggling everything. So I've never had the time to buy it. So thank you.
I'm glad you like it. So thank you so much for coming on today. There is one question that I would like to ask you, and I ask every guest. What is one thing you're going to do to change the world? Little or small? Little or big? Whatever it is.
I would just love to see representation, real authentic representation, whether it's queer representation, disability, sign language, deafness. I just want more camaraderie in the world. I want more friendship, people working together. That's what I want to see in the world. I mean, everyone's beautiful. It doesn't matter the color of their skin or, you know, what they identify as, where they're from, whoever they are. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. And I believe the world should work together. It doesn't matter where their background, their culture. I believe that we should all be together because we are all unique. We're all beautiful. We're all special.
That's amazing. What a fantastic way to finish. What a brilliant answer to another brilliant episode. David and Marnie, thank you so much for coming on today. You have just been unbelievable. Honestly, you have just made this podcast, you know.
No, I really appreciated you inviting us. Thank you so much.
No, and I really wish you all the best for the future, and I really hope that you inspire the younger generations that are hard of hearing or deaf to grow up and inspire them to follow their dreams and chase their dreams alike. So thank you guys so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been really appreciative. Thank you for the audience. Thank you for everyone watching. Again, I would love if you had more deaf guests on the podcast. You know, everyone has different experiences to me, so that also would be fun to see.
Absolutely. Oh, there's a lot of people that I'm hoping to get on and broaden the community a little bit because I think that's what we need to do. So be more inclusive, diverse, and to get everyone out here. And I always say, come on the show if you've got something to tell me. If you've got something that you're passionate about, everyone is welcome.
I love that. There it is.
So anyway, that concludes today's episode of Chasing the Art of Creativity. Thank you all so much for joining us today. The journey through David and his acting and his help within the deaf community. So once again, I'll see you all later. Thank you very much. Don't be a stranger.